Today with us we have Manjula Subhash. She is strategist marketing, communication and sales enabler. Can you tell me about your personal journey?
So my journey started from very early. So I was forcefully put into pharmacy education. So marketing was my field, but I could not convince my dad. However, I went ahead, finished my pharmacy, and eventually, when I had to pick up a career, I actually went and joined an advertising agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
For any company, final end goal is sales.
Sales.
Marketing is just a means to reach that goals.
Yeah.
So how do you decode?
So my very simple definition of or difference between sales and marketing is that sales job is to bring money into the company. Marketing's job is to spend the company's money.
It enables startups or it helps marketing in some way or the other. What is your perspective on having an intellectual property and not having an intellectual property for a company?
See, marketing, we want to go out in the market and talk about our credibility. Intellectual property is a proof of credibility.
Okay.
So if you have built a product and we patent it, then it's a proof, right?
Any last thoughts or advice from you for Gen Zs or entrepreneurs?
So build innovation, build companies, build organizations with a lot of pride and take India to the next level.
Welcome to another chapter of Built on Brains. Today with us we have Manjula Subhash. She is strategist marketing, communication and sales enabler. So I welcome you, madam, on this podcast.
Thank you.
I hope all the people will learn a lot of things regarding marketing, because this is one of the areas where every person needs to have an expertise. And आप प्रोडक्ट तो अच्छा बना लोगे, सर्विस तो अच्छा दे दोगे, बट अगर उसको बेच नहीं पाए तो आई डोंट थिंक सो एनी बिजनेस विल थ्राइव और सर्वाइव.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very important, and I would like to decode many things from you. So I welcome you on this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's really my pleasure to be here.
Thank you for your time. So this podcast has been sponsored by Brainiac IP Solutions, which is intellectual property service provider firm, expert in providing competitive analysis and benchmarking with respect to your competitors. So can you tell me about your personal journey and how you landed up into PR and marketing and sales, which is most difficult domain that people tend to explore.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the last choice people want to explore.
So my journey started from very early. Typical Punjabi dad. He felt that without science, there is no career you can build.
Okay.
So I was forcefully put into pharmacy education.
Okay.
But my passion lied more in the creative side. So I wanted to really join the advertising industry, be in the creative field and look at growth. Growth was something that I wanted to work in, where you enable businesses to grow. So marketing was my field, but I could not convince my dad. However, I went ahead, finished my pharmacy, and eventually, when I had to pick up a career, I actually went and joined an advertising agency.
Okay.
So I'm one of those rarest pharmacist marketeers. So the journey started off with media houses. I worked with event management companies who did large international concerts in India those days. From there, I even took a sabbatical and worked on a Hollywood movie as a production manager.
Okay.
So I joined Ogilvy and Mather, which is one of the largest media houses, O&M. And I worked with them for quite some time. I really enjoyed that journey because that took me not only in the creative side, where I had to work with a lot of brand managers, for example, TVS Scooty, the Tang, when they relaunched themselves in India, I was instrumental in relaunching them. The NASDAQ launch was handled by me. Then Titan ka Raza clocks, which were on the Bindu concept of painting, the Raza painting, Clocks. So all these things, they taught me a lot of creativity side was very fulfilling, but what I really enjoyed was also client servicing. That is actually sitting with the clients and finding out what is their vision, where are their customers, how can some innovative way or some creative way we can create to reach out to their target audience. So Ogilvy and Mather taught me both things. You know, they taught me how to market yourself also, at the same time how to help clients market their products.
Okay.
From there, I also spent some time in Lintas, briefly as head of PR for them in Bangalore. And after that, you know, typical, if you are from Bangalore, you will want to be in the IT sector.
It's a huge IT sector.
Yeah, I mean, we have grown up with seeing IT grow around us, right?
Okay.
So after media, when I wanted to stick to one industry, not be all, you know, when you're working with media, you are part of a lot of industries. You're part of FMCG, consumer durables, IT, manufacturing. There's a big this thing. After some time, I have noticed that most of the people from media houses want to then stick to one particular industry and then build their careers there. So I was very sure that IT is where I want to be.
Okay.
So I joined IT industry again in the marketing and communication segment, that is falling under the CMO organization. And I started off with HP. That was my first big break and a lot of learning in HP. I used to handle customer visits, and those days these customer visits in Bangalore HP Center, which is in Electronic City, was more around so in America there is a deal that you're having with some big client, for example say AT&T, you know, and when it is now time for them to sign off the deal, they would actually travel down to India to see who are the actual people who are going to be delivering the projects on the ground. So the decision making team would travel down to India and spend like good 2-3 days or a week with us in our campus and meet up with everyone on the floor. I was actually instrumental in handling these client visits. So I got to meet a lot of people from leadership, say, like the CIOs, the CTOs, even the CEOs of really large companies, global companies. And one of them I met was Mark Shuttleworth, who is the CEO, founder of Ubuntu. So, you know, it was my privilege to host him there in the campus. So I had a very nice role. It was very creative. It was very strategic because I had to work with all the, vertical heads on creating the agenda and working out on the presentations that need to be made to these guests. At the same time, it was so customer focused, you know, that you were with the customer when they have to really sign off the deals, you know, on the table. So very, very nice role that was. From there, I moved on to Sapient Corporation, which is now Sapient Nitro, and I think they've again changed their name. Another American company. I went as India head of marketing. So that was my first, break into leadership role in marketing. And then after that, I moved to Satyam Computers. I just joined Satyam Computers, and within a month, the crisis happened. So I got an opportunity to handle real-time crisis, because when you're corporate communication head, which is public relations, and the company goes through crisis where a lot of media is being used.
And you have to answer.
And we have to answer, and we have to also ensure that we start leveraging the good media to still in the whole, mess and in the whole, negative publicity, you have to somewhere find a positive jack as well, you know.
True.
So we did a lot of great work. I mean, the whole team of marketing and communication that time of Satyam, we all worked together. Our roles completely changed from, acquiring new customers to now having our company sustain. We are sick. Let's not die, because a sick company will get a buyer, but a dying company will not get a buyer. So our job was to just remain where we are, start building from there, leverage good media within media houses, and start creating some great stories that can come out in media as well. You know, so it was very challenging role,
right.
but I think for marketeer to go through that, handling crisis was, I would say what crisis happened were bad, but in some way Tech Mahindra taking over Satyam also became good, you know. Tech Mahindra suddenly became the fourth largest IT company of that time. But from my role standpoint, I think it's very few marketeers who get an opportunity to handle real-time crisis. And I was one of those, and I'm really happy that, you know, I got to be there at that point of time to work and be very closely working with the new, you know, leadership that came in to ensure that the company sustains.
Good.
That brings me to Pune actually.
Okay.
Because Tech Mahindra was headquartered in Pune.
Okay.
So from Hyderabad, I moved to Pune. And when I came here, I joined MDocs as Asia Pacific regional marketing lead. And it was a good experience working in the APAC region, especially in marketing and communication. So this has been my journey, corporate journey. 2015, India was going through a huge development. There was a revolution of startup culture that has got started off. And I felt it's time for me to leave my corporate life and start something of my own. And that's where I started off with Creative Bharat, more as a startup mentorship organization, but also more focused to marketing and corporate communication that startups can leverage to build their branding and build their marketplace. And I mean, you know, Shark Tank may people go to Shark Tank for funds only to market. True. Elevation of marketing, right? So that means marketing is anyways a big challenge for startups. And if an experienced person like me can come in and, you know, mentor startups not only with the new age marketing tools, but also with traditional marketing, you know, collaboration, then I don't think startups really need funding for that. You can grow organically also.
So it's your long journey actually. At least I think it's more than 2 decades of your experience, right? So marketing or sales or PR at that time was so different. There was no digital. It was so different. It was so conventional, I can say. Now it has moved digitally. So how do you see this change, and are those conventional practices still relevant, or it's all changed now?
So very interesting this is. So when I started off my career, we used to do a lot of billboards. We used to do a lot of hoardings for a lot of brands, and it was a very expensive affair, you know, like taking a billboard for a month in a road junction.
Still it's expensive.
It is still expensive. But you know, the measurement of how the ROI of that particular investment was not there. I mean, what would you tell your clients? How many cars passed by, and out of those cars, how many people actually stuck their head up to see the hoarding?
Right.
You know, it was very like you could not measure it, right? Today, digital marketing is measurable marketing. So that is one thing that has been fixed with digital marketing. Digital marketing has reached into the homes, into your hands now. With your phones and everything. Today you can have access to any advertisement anywhere, anytime, right? It comes to you. Today it has become personalized. So they have, I mean, through the algorithm, they see your pattern of what kind of products were you searching to, you know, what kind
specific interest.
I mean, there's a mapping of your lifestyle that is happening. What kind of clothes do you like wearing? What kind of shoes you like? What kind of phones you are using? You know, so now you have products that are driven by your own personal behaviors, right? At that time, that was not there, right? It was random. That, okay, there is a TV ad come out and, you know, you're hoping that people are watching it. So that has something that has changed. But I would also say that traditional marketing, some of the best practices are something that we can follow even today. A lot of things like when we used to sit to do work on ad films, there were a lot of strategic storytelling that used to happen, which used to touch the emotions of consumers. So the emotions of consumers are still there today. You have to still drive advertisements, whether you're doing it on your phone, on a digital marketing platform, or advertisements on social media network and all that. You still have to have content that is emotionally driving your brand towards consumers.
Emotions have not
So
changed.
yeah, emotions have not changed. The more emotional your advertisement is, the more viral it becomes.
Okay.
Right? So that is, something that was there before, that
Still
is there
is there.
today.
Okay.
The other thing I have noticed is today when I look at startups, they want to build some businesses, and immediately in short time they want to now go out in the market and say that, okay, we are looking at funding or we are looking at mergers. They want to scale very fast. Yes, today's time we want to scale very fast. It's good. It's the right thing to do. But at the same time, startups also need to gauge in what kind of startups they are. Can that startup really look at scaling that fast? Are you not in a very crowded space? Because if you're in a crowded space, then you will fail if you're going to go in this place, with the desire that I need to scale very fast. And there are many other people who have already scaled
up, right.
and you are a competitor with them. It's going to be difficult for you to firstly attract a funder. Secondly, once your morale of not getting funding goes, then the morale of doing the business also goes down. So that is something where I say, let's do traditional way of doing business.
Okay.
Like how our fathers and grandfathers did. I mean, they didn't have access to funds at that point of time, right?
But they were good networkers.
They were good networkers.
They were talking too much to the people, real people.
Real people
That is
on the
reduced
ground.
now. That is reduced. That's what I say.
Which should not happen, right? I mean, when we are saying today we are talking on digital platform, that means we are talking like four times more audience than how much they were talking one-to-one with people.
That way you're
Right?
correct.
Yeah. So it should not be, right?
Right,
But
right,
actually the personal touch still remains.
Okay.
Being on ground still remains a good key of success. So the more you collaborate on ground with your network, with your collaborators, with your ecosystem, rather than being only on social media channels, will help. And that is what traditional marketing people did. When my dad quit army and started his own business, if he wanted funds, he would actually go into his network ecosystem, and there, he would actually ask people, let's create a collaborative fund, and, I would need something for a particular period, and then I would pay it back.
Like a loan.
Banks used to not give loans that time, Banks were giving loans to really big projects, but not to startups at that
I
point
think
of time.
so that time even getting a home loan was difficult.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, typically people used to retire with their retiral money, build their home, buy
homes,
their
right.
first car at that point of time.
Right,
Today things have changed.
Right.
But still I feel that the traditional way of doing business, especially when it comes to funding, is something people should still apply today. Even when you're starting off a startup or a entrepreneurship of yours, not every business needs funding. There are some businesses who can scale gradually, be consistently doing what they are doing, and eventually see success.
Okay.
Not every business needs funding.
Right.
But what happens is, because there is this, there's this wave of communication where everyone says that, oh, that's a unicorn company, that's a company that's been funded, or we watch Shark Tank and we also feel that, oh, I can also present. Many times there are a lot of startups who don't really need funding, but they still go out asking for funding because the culture has become that.
पैसा बाहर से ही चाहिए
ना वो पैसा ही नहीं आता, वहां से एक दूसरा पार्टनर भी आता है. So will that partnership work out for you? That is the biggest key. Most of the startups that got funded and still failed in the last 5 years, if you see, they have failed because of partnerships, right? Because when a funder comes in with funds, he also holds equal right into your business. Now, you were driving a business with a lot of passion, lot of emotion. a funder who comes in and he looks at the business with the money he is invested in but lacks emotion for your business will not be accommodating to any short term losses or in short term challenges that come into your organization. That's where the soreness of relationships get started. So you have to be very careful. There are funds available. People want to invest. You know, I am also a seed investor. So I do like, if I like any project, I do want to invest, especially in the field of marketing and communication. But again, people who go for funding need to be very careful. They need to understand with the money, there is also a partnership that is coming. So evaluate that really well and then go into funding.
So as we came down from orthodox marketing, digital marketing, and to funding, actually, funding is a very interesting topic that we as an intellectual property professionals face day on day, because we work with a lot of startups as well and aspiring entrepreneurs who are about to start their own companies.
Yeah.
And what I have seen is it has become a culture of कुछ तो बनाओ, investor को take investor on board, even take the salaries that you want at a very higher side, which may be more than what you are getting in when you are employed. So this culture is not good, I can say that. What is your opinion on this? Because सब पैसा investors से ही लेंगे, salary भी उनसे ही लेंगे, तो I don't know how to articulate this. So what is your comment on this?
So, look at the scenario when our fathers started business when they were young, okay? They came from joint families, and if they had an idea over dinner, जब पूरी family एक साथ dinner करती थी, and they would say that, ऐसे ऐसे मुझे लगता है कि मुझे एक ऐसी दुकान खोलनी चाहिए. The youngster in the family sitting there and saying कि मुझे ऐसे लगता है, मुझे अपना कुछ business शुरू करना है. The father will demotivate, say नहीं तुम गवर्नमेंट में तुम ये वाला एग्जाम दो, तुम गवर्नमेंट जॉब करो. फिर मामा बोलेगा अरे नहीं ये तो काफ़ी अच्छा आइडिया है और मैं दिल्ली आता जाता हूँ, तो मैं तुम्हारा आइडिया ना दिल्ली मार्केट में भी फैलाऊंगा. कोलैबोरेशन शुरू हो जाता है. फंडिंग चाहिए तो रिलेटिव से ही फंडिंग आ जाता है. कुछ नहीं तो दादी उठ के बोलेगी कि नहीं, दादी उठ के बोलेगी कि मेरे पास गहने हैं, मैं तो अभी नहीं पहनती, तो ले बेटा तू गहने ले ले और तू तेरी दुकान शुरू कर. राइट. तो वो घर में होता था उन दिनों, राइट, घर के इकोसिस्टम में होता था. दैट वाज द बेनिफिट ऑफ जॉइंट फैमिलीज एक्चुअली, व्हिच वी लैक टुडे इन न्यूक्लियर फैमिलीज. सो नाउ लुक एट दैट कल्चर, ओके, दैट जब कोई डेयरिंग कर रहा है बिजनेस शुरू करने का, देयर इज अ इकोसिस्टम दैट इज देयर टू सपोर्ट एंड एलिवेट हिम. Today, startups are starting off very isolatedly. 2-3 friends मिलेंगे और फिर बोलेंगे चलो हम शुरू करते हैं. बट इकोसिस्टम तो फिर भी नहीं है ना. वो उतने ही हैं, 2-3 हैं, या कभी कभी सिंगल लोग भी शुरू करते हैं. मैंने तो सिंगल ही स्टार्ट किया, आइडिया आया, मैंने बोला ओके स्टार्ट करते हैं. राइट. I think where what lacks is basically a good ecosystem where you can collaborate, where you can trust, you can share your business ideas with people and see how partnerships can come in and how they can help you elevate. Now what happens when you start something with a isolated team, just very close knit team, 2-3 लोगों ने मिलके business शुरू किया, and suddenly they decide now let's go into the market and let's get funds, let's elevate, let's expand, which is a good thing. But I think till the time you don't really network well in the ecosystem of the culture of funding, the culture of startup culture, in whichever city you are, there are a lot of communities for startups, right? There are a lot of startup mentors also available who will help you out, who have had the experience of running organizations or being part of large organizations. If you will start rubbing shoulders with these people, then you will exactly know, okay, what kind of funding do I need and what kind of partnership do I need with that fund that is coming in. Then it is more strategic, and then okay, how you need to play in front of the audience. I'm not against the Shark Tank culture. It's really good. But what I feel, it's not about India Shark Tank only, even international Shark Tanks which I've watched, I feel, why do startups stand there, with an attitude of, so startups are innovators. They have built something. There's a sense of pride they must have in it.
correct.
They must stand on that Shark Tank stage with that sense of pride.
Correct,
And
correct.
then not ask for help, but open the doors to investors saying that I am here to help you out with a great product that I have, and it's going to help you multiply your
Your money.
money when you invest in me.
Right.
The sense of pride is something that I feel most of the people lack when they go on Shark Tanks. Some of them do it very well, but many times, even when the sharks give them their figures, that okay, this is the deal and that's it.
Right.
This much I will invest in, this much of equity I want. Sometimes I see the startups kind of compromise, and they, because they have given more value to the money than their own product.
Correct.
And I feel that mindset should change. See, investors are there to invest because their objective is that they want to multiply their money.
Correct.
But you as innovators who have created your own organizations must actually stand with a lot of pride in front of them, that yes, we are here and you are here to help me out with your funds, because it's
I'm going to
important for you also to
Yeah,
make money
money.
out of my
Yeah,
innovation
correct.
that I have created. I think that mindset should really change with the next generation of startups in India.
Okay, that's
That pride of कि मैंने बनाया है ये business और ये elevate होगा, ये आगे जाएगा और ये सबका फायदा करेगा.
Instead of-
अगर आप इन्वेस्ट करोगे तो आपका भी फायदा होगा, मेरा भी फायदा होगा. वो प्राइड से जब आगे चलेंगे ना, तो पार्टनरशिप्स में भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएंगे.
So, yeah, as you said, it is either ways. People are
Yeah.
just asking for more money,
Yeah.
and they are dependent on funds, and
Yeah.
they don't have that confidence that without funds also they can scale.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. Do you think that is also one of the reason why more than 95% of the startup fail?
I think,
What do you think
I think that traditionally businesses that are doing the traditional way of not really opening doors for a lot of funding to flow in without a proper planning. That I need funds because I need to plan something. You need to set short-term goals for your organization. You can't say कि नहीं मैं यहाँ पर हूँ but मुझे ना वहाँ पहुँचना है तो I need funding. तुम्हें यू हैव टू सी कि मैं यहाँ पर हूँ तो मुझे यहाँ पहुँचना है, इतने के लिए मुझे कितने फंडिंग की ज़रूरत है, मैं बस उतना ही लाइबिलिटी लूँगा, यहाँ तक स्केल करूँगा, फिर यहाँ से मैं आगे सोचूंगा, फिर यहाँ से मैं आगे सोचूंगा, यहाँ से आगे, राइट? आई मीन इट्स वेरी सिंपल. हम हाउ मच कैन वी स्ट्रेच व्हेन वी आर वॉकिंग अप द स्टेयर्स?
Correct. There is a limit.
Yeah, there is a limit, right? I mean, दो स्टेप्स में भी आप सपोर्ट के बिना नहीं करोगे, राइट?
Correct.
सो आप 1 से 10th स्टेप पे जंप करना चाहते हो एंड यू थिंक यू विल नॉट फॉल, it can't happen that way, right? So that is why most of the businesses have fallen, because they did not strategically see when I need what fund and how much fund. So they are here and they say, oh, I need funding to be here.
Right.
So they need that much big funding, to be there. You have to make short-term goals for yourself and move up, and then try to be low on liabilities.
Okay.
Build more assets within your organization, build products that are asset-able products, rather than being so much into liabilities and into so much of partnerships that tomorrow, your whole relationship fails. I mean, let's look at Apple. Didn't Steve Jobs build the company, and at one point of time he was told to exit the company out? तो उसने बनाया but उसी को निकाला ना, right? Invention of bulb.
Right.
में भी ये हुआ. If we look at the invention of bulb, Edison का, he was a scientist.
Right.
He got an angel funder for some time to do
Okay.
his R&D and build the bulb and all that stuff. So angel funder wanted his name in the patent. That's why he was holding on, because he believed in his invention and he said, मेरा कल को नाम होगा, मैं भी पेटेंट में रहूंगा, बल्ब के इन्वेंशन में रहूंगा. तो he stuck around by giving him fund. But जब वो बल्ब बन गया, with all the challenges that came and the Tesla coming in and challenges solve हुआ, बल्ब जब बन गया, बल्ब बनने के बाद अब अब वो बल्ब बस एंजल इन्वेस्टर तो आगे नहीं ले जा सकता था ना. नाउ यू वांटेड पीपल विद डीप पॉकेट्स. That means people who have the capability of building bulb factories all over the different regions,
Right.
so that उतना supply market में निकले. तो फिर वो बिजनेस कहाँ पे शुरू हुआ कि एंजल इन्वेस्टर के साथ स्टार्ट हुआ, बट आगे वो स्केल होने के लिए फिर वो फेज वाइज आगे
wise,
बढ़ा, एंड
right,
फिर
right.
बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स आए.
आए.
So you have to always go step by step. You know, start with angel investment. Actually, start with seed investment. When you suppose you have absolutely no money and you have a great idea, you will find a seed investor, and then from there you move thoda sa up with angel investments. You can have multiple level of angel investments. See how your business is scaling, and then you may want to look at a bigger venture capitalist coming in.
Now we'll deep dive into marketing actually, as I mentioned earlier. So as you're expert in marketing, and you have spent decades of your experience in this marketing domain. Even I get stuck up to understand what exactly is marketing. So there are so many things that people can do, and picking up what is relevant, what is not, and then at the end the result has to be sales.
Yeah.
For any company, final end goal is sales.
Sales.
Marketing is just a means to reach that goals.
Yeah.
So how do you decode what are the different things that any startup or a established company must do, and some things that they can do?
Yeah. So see, marketing and communication. So let's decode these three words: marketing, communication, and sales enablement. So marketing is basically branding, your logo, your website, the collaterals, you know, that you have as a company. So you start off with a compelling name. In the industry, you will want a nice name for your organization. Then you develop logos. Then you develop your branding collaterals, like your, you know, color schemes. That okay, this is going to be my house colors, and you start off with that. Communication is, and that is, you know, it's not one time thing. It will keep evolving. If you look at all the big brands, like for example HP, you know, HP, we know the logo is H and P.
Correct.
But that also had changed a lot, and it keeps changing. You will see वो black and white था, फिर वो blue color आया, फिर उसमें भी different variations आए, फिर invent आ गया नीचे, HP invent करके नीचे, you know, so logos भी change होते रहते हैं. So वो एक आपको, because you want to showcase yourself with a logo, so that there's brand recall, but after a certain period you need to refresh that again, because there's a new generation of audiences, the new generation of consumers that are also coming into the market for you. So then unke us samay what is trending,
relevant.
how you need to keep elevating your logo. So branding is a constant thing that will keep happening. It will keep evolving. Communication is where you have communication piece like your public relations. So where you go out into media telling your story, or media will interview you, you know, they will write about you, or you will feature your authored articles about your business. So that is public relations, where media helps you in branding your organization. That is the media that is credible, right? I mean, everybody reads newspapers, everybody watches news channels. So if you can, your brand can also show up over there, it's very good, because everybody believes in these content, right? Then sales enablement marketing is more like account based marketing, or where you have to provide go to market strategy to the sales guys. Now what is it? It's mostly like collaterals, your brochures, your websites being updated. So website is also not one time affair, na?
Correct.
You build it with a nice brand, nice template and all, but then the content keeps evolving. Na? There are new things that you keep putting up there, which helps the salespeople penetrate into the market easier, because if your website has got all the information there, it's easy for them to sell. Similarly, you know, white papers, case studies, success stories. So if you've had some very success story with a customer that you have delivered, and you create a white paper out of it in partnership with, say, a knowledge partner like a Deloitte or a KPMG or NASSCOM, you know, in collaboration with them, if you create a white paper, that becomes a very good collateral for the sales guys to take to his prospect customers. credibility is high over
right,
there,
right,
right? That we are successful, we have already done that kind of work for someone, and look, there's a knowledge partner who endorsed it with a white paper that has come out in the market. So there's a lot of intelligence, there's a lot of creativity, and there's a lot of science also in marketing. It's got all the three things in marketing. So in simple words, a lot of people confuse sales and marketing to be one thing. So people will put up advertisements, we are looking out for marketing people. And when marketeers go for interview, they come to know that it's actually sales that they want. So my very, very simple definition of or difference between sales and marketing is that sales job is to bring money into the company. Marketing's job is to spend company's money. Okay, so sales is bringing new customers. Marketing is a marketing budget that needs to be spent in creating very effective, innovative collaterals that can in some way help sales guys to close more deals. So that is why they say na marketing budget.
Budget is that, right?
Right. So that marketing budget is nothing. It is there for us to create that kind of collateral which helps sales go into the market easily and close the businesses easily. So if you are actively in media, it becomes easier for the sales guys to go and convince because people would have already heard about you and know about your story, and it will be easy for them to close the deal. They won't be wasting a lot of time in first doing a credential presentation, then going back with a solution. Now they can just go in the first meeting, only go with a solution to that particular client and say that you already know us, because we are everywhere. We are on the television, we are on digital marketing, we are, everywhere. We are in the newspapers, so you know us well. But here is a solution my company can provide for your company because here is the pain point that we see in your organization, which we can fix for you. So now the sales becomes easier. That is why marketing plays a very, very important role. And today politicians are using marketing very, very effectively.
More effectively than anyone else, I can say.
Yeah, I recently saw the news on that gentleman who is the marketing. So like Prashant Kishore, who is a political marketeer, he does marketing for political parties. He recently said that he's earned 241 crores in like 3 years. So look at the amount of money people are spending for marketing. So when politicians are spending that kind of money for marketing, the large companies are spending money for marketing, startups should not keep marketing as the last thing to do, which is a very sad thing. Today when you look at startups, they say, we've built our product, everything is good, we have started doing some pilot also, there are some clients who have started using us, but we will do our marketing later because we don't have funds for that. Marketing, the most interesting thing about marketing is marketing doesn't really need always bigger budgets. You want to scale very big, you spend more. But you can still start something with smaller budgets also, be consistent and slowly start building your market, start building your business, and then start keeping 20% aside for marketing so that your marketing budget keeps growing. And one fine day you can, spend more money for marketing.
That's a good calculation, 20% for marketing.
Yeah.
So it is apart from salesperson's job.
Right? So see, the more you spend in marketing, the more leads the sales guy is going to get. I mean, in digital marketing, it's very easy to measure, right? Because you run an ad, you get that many leads, right? And those leads go to salespeople and they start converting those leads into businesses, right? The same way I'm saying that the more money you will start keeping aside. So every time when you build business, when it is growing, but you start from basic. Now there are a lot of startups who say, I will do marketing only when I have a great story to tell, especially public relations, I will do PR only when there's a great story for me to tell. So I always say, Kab, jab aap Ambani ban jaoge? I mean, you have a great story, you have that great idea that you started off, that is a great story. Start with that story. Start with the story of what motivated you to start this particular entity. what is the driver behind this entity, how is this entity going to bring an impact in the market. Start with that na, that is a story. फिर आगे आपको नेक्स्ट स्टोरी मिलेगा when you have the first 5 clients, फिर एक स्टोरी, when you have the next 5 clients, when you have a milestone of revenue growing, then you have stories, then you suddenly one day become big and you say, oh अब तो मैं listed company बनता हूँ, you know, I will list myself, again a story. So PR needs stories coming from you. So the more stories you're going to tell, the more better it is, right? So don't wait for, you know, when a lot of clients, especially startups, because I go as a mentor in a lot of forums, and I ask them that, you know, how many of you use PR? And they say, अभी तक हमारी कोई story नहीं बनी. I said, ये story तो बनाई ना तुमने. जब वो business शुरू किया आपने, वो logo was also a story. When you were sitting with your team and strategizing, हमारा logo कैसा दिखना चाहिए, वहाँ पे भी तो एक story थी ना, right? So everywhere there is a story which media needs, and India is the richest country in media houses. Now media houses need new stories, yeah. You know, they are there to feature you. उनका भी
they are
धंधा
expensive ना.
No, they're not. No. Not all media is expensive. Now, if you want to be only in Times of India, Economic Times, or big publications like that, then obviously it is expensive when you're just a startup. But when you're just a startup, there are a lot of small channels, and today with Instagram kind of platforms that have come up, there are a whole lot of small channels as low as 5K to do your story.
Great.
As low as that, you know, they're ready to charge only 5K for you to put your story up there. Why are you not leveraging that? So, you know, I don't discourage people who want to be in big publications like Economic Times and all, but you know, understand public relations. The word public relation means that there is a relationship that you need to build. So when a brand is consistently there in media, starting from smaller medias and gradually, you know, moving up, जहाँ पे भी उनको लगता है कि they can afford, whenever there's a milestone that they have achieved and they feel, okay, let's invest some money, let's do a press release. Press release in India can easily get you about 70-80 media hits. You know, one press release can get you 70-80 media hits, sometimes even more. It depends on the kind of story that you have written, or kind of press release you have drafted. Now, when there is a consistency in being present in media, that's when an Economic Times journalist or a correspondent will see, अरे ये तो जहाँ भी देखता हूँ मुझे यही company दिखती है, यही company दिखती है, let me do a story on them. Then the doors will open for you, where it may come free to you.
Achha,
You don't have to pay, because now the media house wants to do a story on you because you're so constantly in media, small, big, whatever media you could afford. You were so much into media, means you're visible in the media, that the big houses will then say that, oh yeah, इसको बहुत media attention मिल रहा है, but हमने इसको कभी interview नहीं किया. Let's bring this guy up and let's interview them. That time media will come free to you in a publication like Economic Times, you know.
Good to know, actually.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking it is always an expensive affair.
If you are going,
media.
so there are, okay, let's break down PR. There is press release. Press release means I draft, I'm the owner of the company, I draft, or I'm the corpcom handling media relations in the organization. I draft a press release of, say, some announcement that I want to take out in the media. I draft that and I give it to, say, a news wire, and I tell them that please release my news. Now, that is all in my words. I have drafted it, everything. It's coming from inside my organization. The news is going from inside my organization. That is one. Second is interactions, when media houses will start calling you and saying that, okay, you know, we went through this press release of yours. I want to understand more into this particular project of yours. Can I have a one-to-one interaction with you? That is where interviews happen with the leadership and media houses. Then the media guy goes and then they will create their story in the interaction, whatever they have gathered, they will create a story and they will feature it. Then there is editorials. So when he gathers all the information and he goes and he'll create a story and he will publish it, that is called editorial.
Okay. Okay.
EDI, editorial.
Okay.
Now, when I want to go and I have a news and I want to go engage with a big publication house like the Economic Times or Financial Express, Business Standard, they are big houses.
Big houses, yeah.
I want to go there and publish, but nobody came from there asking for me. Then I will typically be routed into their marketing department because everyone, even publications, want to earn.
Correct.
You know, they have to run their organization, right? They can't keep giving free media to everyone. They have to run that organization. So in that, what happens is then we say, okay, fine, you know, whatever price they say, we are ready to pay. That is called editorial. That means it's like advertisement
Advertising,
plus editorial mix. That means you have not advertised a banner there, but you told a story, you've shared your story like an editorial, but you paid for that space. So that is called editorial.
Okay.
So there is a mix, and I don't discourage people for any of these.
Okay.
Editorial is also good. You can actually build a calendar for the whole year for yourself, PR, and you can say that, okay, few months you will target for only press releases, which are the most cheapest tool, and automatically you will get 60, 70 plus media hits.
Do you help in this?
Yeah, I do that. That's my bread and butter.
You said at a lower budget. That's the reason I asked you actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead, please.
So what I do is I spread out the whole calendar for PR for my clients, and then I say, okay, some months we will do press release, which is lower at cost. Then suddenly there is a big announcement the company comes out with. There I say, okay, let's increase the cost a little bit. We will do press release also, and we will do few editorial, which will cater to these big publications. Then at least even one publication carries us is good enough. Then we again start doing smaller press releases, then one big one, smaller press releases, then one big one. Now the key is that public relations should be consistent.
True.
You should not do it, say 2 mahine kiya and then wait for the result for the whole year ki maine 2 press release kiye the, but I have to reap the result for the whole year. That won't happen. PR is so fast. Even if you look at media houses, you have young students after they pass out from mass communication, they join those beats, right? They're young journalists, and they will move on. That chair will again have someone new coming and sitting there. That is why media companies like PR agencies are needed, because you as a business owner will not know who has moved into that seat after that person left. So PR agencies are constantly in touch with media, so they know who's the new person who has come there. And then there's a huge churning of employment that happens in the media industry, because the younger generations don't want to keep doing journalism job for a very long time in their career. They would want to move up, become corporate communication mein jana. They'll elevate. In career में वो लोग भी तो elevate करेंगे. So नए journalist आते रहते हैं, right? तो वो एक PR agency आपको उसमें help करती है. Second is जब ये नए लोग आते हैं तो again आपका relationship इनके साथ फिर से नया शुरू होता है. Although आपके media footprints पड़े रहेंगे, but still you will have new relationships that will start again for new opportunities, future opportunities that will come out. So that's why I say that, build a calendar for the whole year, spend small money in 2 months. So every quarter spend big money, thoda sa bada money, not like big money, but not like billboard wala money, billboards are like really expensive and there is no way of measurement out of them, right? But here at least PR, that these publications are really good publications that bring impact. Right. So you start doing that, and parallelly when you are getting featured in media, now even that smallest press release that gets you like 60-70 media hits, that means there are 60-70 posts that you can do on your social media, tagging that publication, thanking them. And their publications followers are going to again see you because you have tagged them, right? They are again going to, so you are also multiplying the viewership of your news
Correct.
in your own social media channels also. So कितना multiply होता है? If you see, that is actually organic SEO.
Okay. Okay.
That is organic SEO where you don't really need to pay money for SEO. You don't have to do inorganic SEO then,
Okay. Good to know actually.
Yeah,
Right.
that is actually the SEO, search engine optimization, when it got started off. This is how it was. That actual publications carry your coverages and they feature, and then from there you spread the link into your network and have more people follow that, come and open that link and see, and that's how SEO will grow. Now you do the same thing for yourself. I mean, when you spend little money in a press release, try to feature it again, wherever you are being, published, feature it again on your social media channels, and by tagging those publications, get those publication followers also start following you.
It's like going viral through the network.
True, yeah.
Great,
So
great,
when people say कि यार मेरा बहुत अच्छा न्यूज़ आया है बट ये वायरल ही नहीं हो रहा, सो ऐसे आपने कुछ किया उसको वायरल करने के लिए? आई मीन यू वेटिंग फॉर पब्लिक टू पिक अप योर न्यूज़ एंड मेक इट वायरल. यू हैव टू टेक द फर्स्ट स्टेप ऑफ डूइंग इट वायरल. ऑल बिजनेस हाउसेस टुडे हैव अकाउंट्स ऑन लिंक्डइन. Are you featuring your media hits on LinkedIn? No, you just depend media में आगे अब काफी है. आगे बढ़ो ना. Tell your social media team now pick up every link और वो सारे publications को gratitude दे दो.
Correct.
Simple. Thank you Business Today for featuring us in your publication. You're tagging Business Today. So Business Today के followers are going to start looking at you also, right?
Very simple but
Yeah,
effective.
very effective. People don't want to do that whole thing. वो एक press release करके then they'll say अभी एक साल मैं wait करूँगा because 70 media hits आए थे, now उसका मुझे impact पूरे साल में मिलना चाहिए. नहीं, आपको कंसिस्टेंट रहना चाहिए. आप प्रेस रिलीज करो, सोशल मीडिया टीम को बोलो इसको स्प्रेड करो, फिर प्रेस रिलीज करो, स्प्रेड करो, फिर एक बड़ा इम्पैक्टफुल न्यूज करो, फिर उसको फिर से स्प्रेड करो. Get your social media team integrated into PR efforts.
Good.
And then, even social media teams sometimes in some of the companies that I mentor, they say that we want some strategic guidance from our leaders कि हम रोज क्या पोस्ट करें.
हाँ. Right.
तो जब आप यहाँ पे इतना दे ही रहे हो उनको, तो फिर एटलीस्ट दे आर गोइंग टू कम एंड डू देयर जॉब ना.
Correct.
देन यू डोंट हैव टू सिट नाउ.
What to post?
Yeah, because mostly startups में if they have built a technology, the co-founders will be more technically aligned, but they won't be marketingly aligned. There will be very rarely I have seen founders or co-founders who are marketeers. So what they will do for a very long time, they will not bring a CMO on board because it's expensive.
Correct.
For them to get a CMO. So what they will do, they will hire few social media बच्चे और उनको interns तुम post करो. अरे but then every day they are coming to work and they are looking at your face. आज मैं क्या post करूँ? So at least build a proper calendar. So in my company where I work with startups, we do a lot of work with startups. We build go-to-market strategy for them. We build PR strategy for our clients, and we also build a whole calendar of public relations. मतलब पूरे साल का calendar बनता है PR में भी. And we also put topics also कि even अगर suppose 3 months में आप बोलोगे कि 3 महीने में मैं क्या ही बड़ी बात करूंगा कि मुझे मीडिया में जाना है, हम वो भी आपके लिए क्रिएट कर देते हैं. हम आपको एक्चुअली बताते हैं कि आप क्या स्टोरीज क्रिएट कर सकते हो आपके बिजनेस में जो इम्पैक्टली आप मीडिया में ले जा सकते हो. सो देन दे स्टार्ट वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स क्रिएटिंग दो स्टोरीज ऑल्सो. For example, forget about technology or real, suppose wo they are still building the technology and they still are not ready, but Women's Day is coming and you have like 40% of women employees in your organization, even if it is a small company, and you think, can we just bring some women leader into the organization on Women's Day, do a talk with all the women employees, and just create a press release of that particular event. So it will go viral because it's happening on Women's Day and you are elevating, endorsing women employees in your organization. the story is being told with emotions.
Right.
Emotions, like we said,
Correct.
are going to be constant,
Constant,
and
correct.
आगे की generation में भी emotionally selling business is going to be a constant. So you can build these kind of things. So what we do is we build those calendar with the topics also. So अगर client को कुछ मिला नहीं उस महीने, हम उनको suggest करते हैं कि देखो अभी Engineers Day आ रहा है.
Okay.
You know, World Engineers Day, and we are a company that have so many engineers working. Let's do something around it. You know, and that way then we have stories to take to media also. So we build proper calendars for PR, and then PR के बाद we build proper calendars for social media. So then even if you don't hire a full-time CMO, you still get an outsourced CMO help you out with, so that the teams that are working within your organization for marketing, they know every day what task to deliver.
So good to know about various aspects, how startups can get or don't need funding sometimes. So how do you enter after your corporate career into entrepreneurship and started Creative Bharat? So can you tell me about this switch?
So after my corporate experience, which was for a good amount of years, I saw the whole revolution of startups happening in India. There was this big wave of change in 2015. Lot of initiatives from the government also had got started off, and I thought that this is the right time for me to do something of my own. And I wanted to stick to what I do the best, which was marketing and communication. I said, I don't want to do anything new.
Okay.
I want to stick to my core competency, but I want to now start working for startups. Now, you know, there was this big challenge. Now, when you look at my profile coming from large companies, leading organizations, had been handling crisis for some organization and all. It was easy for me to get into a lot of forums as a speaker or do mentorship sessions because of my credentials. However, startups were reluctant to engage with me because they thought she comes from larger organization, so her price point will be big, high, which we won't be able to afford. So they would come for my free sessions, like if I have done some work for Sinascom or TAI, you know, the ecosystem platforms that were available. They would come for the sessions, but they will not want to engage further with that. So that was becoming a challenge for me. So I actually, when I started Creative Bharat, the core business was that I will work as an outsourced chief marketing officer for those businesses who can't afford full-time marketeer. And I will help with building the strategy. And I will also do the implementation, that I will keep teams, and on retainer basis I will do the execution of work for them. Slowly as you know, clients started coming in, the way I broke the communication was by actually starting Creative Bharat talk show. And this is much earlier, like 2016, early 17 ki baat hai, when not too many YouTube channels used to be there. So I was part of lot of industry events. I would set up my video booth and I would interview startup owners, founders, co-founders, you know, leadership people from corporates and all that, and start, you know, making a relationship with them. That's how my business started coming to me. That now, you know, after the interaction, they would say that, okay, this girl has some value, you know, she's talking sense in terms of marketing field and all that, and that's how धीरे धीरे मेरे business बढ़ने लगा. And the channel also did well. Actually, we did not keep that channel for a long time. You know, we didn't invest a lot of time on it. I just continued doing you know, interviews, and we just kept posting it on that. Actually, the channel grew all by itself. Organically. And I'm a big, you know, advocate of organic marketing. So that's a very good example that my channel grew organically. You know, nothing fake. Yeah, real stories there, real interviews, and organically it has grown. And that helped me actually get into the network of startups. And then I would have different kinds of startups. There are startups who absolutely have no marketing functions at all. So there I would go with a retainer model of the CMO who would provide strategy plus implementation of all the work that we do on monthly basis. And the second model was where startups have hired few marketeers, especially digital marketing team. So I would only go with a smaller retainer as a CMO, providing the strategy and ensuring that roles and responsibilities of their staff is being managed. And they know every day what work to deliver. And they have a calendar of activities with them for the whole year. So I would create it for the whole year, and every once a month I would check on the teams and manage them remotely. So these two models really worked for me. And the third model was where the customer would say that we just need one-time strategy building for the whole organization for a long term. So I would sit with leadership, build the whole strategy as a consulting project, and then I would just take my one-time fees. And I would work with them for 3-4 months because it takes that much time to understand a business, understand where the customer discovery is, how do we reach out to that particular target audience for them and all that, build that whole thing up. And then thereafter they can hire, I would even give them what kind of resources your CMO organization should have, in different phases. First year, how much do you need? And when you move to the next phase, what are the more resources you need? Build that and then give it to them. And that way they would then, handle. Good thing is that most of the clients stayed with me for public relations. So even if the CMO projects were one time, they still have PR. So whenever there is an announcement or whenever they are going public and they need somebody to do a press release, or they got into a merger and they want to do a press release or something, they knock my door. So the relationship is still on with public relations. So my whole model, I wouldn't say that I knew exactly what I was going to deliver from day one. At that point, I felt that was right, being an outsourced chief marketing officer. But as I started experiencing each client and their needs, I also started evolving my organization. So today we have actually split our work into CMO consulting business, that is Chief Marketing Officer's consulting business, which can be one time. Many times, your existing CMO quit suddenly, and then there is no direction in the organization. So till the time they find the right resource, I can come in and I can help you, fill the gap, and in fact help them find the right resources with the whole strategy that has been built with leadership and me together. And then, I can come out, take my one-time fees. Second is where I work on monthly retainers. And I provide, and public relationship is also on retainer business. The third thing that I'm doing now is, after lockdown, we are seeing a whole lot of YouTube channels that have come out. So now Creative Bharat YouTube channel, which grew organically, now I'm paying little bit more attention on it, and we are building more stories on that. We are bringing more startup stories, covering more startup founders on that channel. So that is another thing. So overall, I have not really moved from my industry from the beginning of my career. Only thing is my target audience is there. I was working for an organization. Now I'm working for the startup ecosystem. In this now, I have also got an opportunity to work with academia, where I'm teaching entrepreneurship. Actually, I'm instrumental in creating the entrepreneurship and innovation syllabus for some of the premium colleges. And my book is also coming out on that, which will actually help any institution all over India to teach the syllabus of entrepreneurship and innovation to the next generation very easily. It's a very good book. We have physically been teaching that syllabus in the colleges, and we are seeing the impact coming out, where college kids as young as in their second year are actually coming out with business ideas and presenting it in front of jury. So that is the new thing that I've gotten, and I'm really enjoying it, because the next generation of innovators who are still in college, and they're going to come out into the market when India is going to be gearing up to be the superpower,
Right.
and it's their shoulders that have to hold the superpower title.
Correct.
So working with this next generation on innovation and entrepreneurship is really very exciting, very challenging. So working with this next generation, it's really exciting and good experience I'm getting with the mindset, and I'm sure that they are going to take India on their shoulders really well, the next generation.
That's really a different perspective, I can say, where you see a very rational hope from the young generation. But when I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, they see a lot of expectation not met from these Gen Zs actually.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of molding is required, I guess. What do you think on that? Because they are not like earlier, like we were students, we didn't have access to many things.
Yeah.
So what generally, any challenges?
I would say one thing. I mean, when I told my dad that I want to join advertising industry, when I was choosing what to study further in college, and his reaction was, advertisement कुछ नहीं होता, you can't build careers in that, ये सब नौटंकी होती है. And look at me, typical dad. And look at me, I chose my passion over my education qualification, what I got, and I've done really well when I chose my passion. So I think we need to look at the next generation also. We need to come to their level, and start looking at
their perspective
and start seeing how we can see. We can't, I mean, our fathers also used to say ye wala generation bigda hua generation hai.
Correct.
Right?
That's true.
They also had that generation gap with us. They would say कि यार we were very good with our parents, we were like this, we were like that. ये generation तो बिगड़ के निकल रहा है, पता नहीं ये लोग क्या करेंगे life में. Today, I'm sure if my dad would have been alive, he would have been very proud of where I have reached. True. So let's have the same mindset for the next generation also.
Great.
We need to fit into their generation. Somewhere we need to come on the same page with that generation. Then you can see, it's been close to 2 years. I'm been teaching every semester. I'm teaching close to 700-800 kids, and trust me, I don't see generation gap between me and them. And I'm sure when this video comes up, my students are going to give comment on LinkedIn to this, that I don't see that much of generation gap between the way I think and the way they think. I think as seniors in age, in front of these Gen Zs or Gen Alpha, like my kids, Gen Alpha, we need to build that kind of rapport where they collaborate with us. They are open. They don't treat us as elders, but they have open communication with us. We need to have open doors for them. That's where then the whole collaboration will work, and we are their ecosystem partners now. We have to understand that we are going to be their ecosystem partners, because their world is getting even more isolated.
True, that's true.
Till the time we were growing up, we had brothers and sisters.
True.
Today they are not even having brothers, sisters. They are in very, very nuclear families, and they are going to have very nuclear family, right? They are not going to have cousins and all that in the families.
Staying together, right.
So even their extended family is going to become shrink, right? It's going to shrink. So for us, we have to have open door policy with the next generation. We have to sometimes go to their level, and yes, sometimes we have to be like elders in ensuring that they follow the right path. So we have to do that, and I think every generation has done that. I mean, I've heard my grandfather tell my dad ki, we guys were better off. You guys haven't. My dad did that to me. I'm doing that to my children.
That's very true.
This is a very traditional thing. It will go on. Our children are going to do the same thing with their children also.
A good perspective actually.
Yeah.
Where I think so they are moving so fast that we are not able to adapt
Yeah.
to what they are
Yeah.
capable of or what they are thinking. I think so
Yeah.
that is where the gap comes in.
And it's not about just the next generation. Look at the technology. I mean, AI, किसने सोचा था? I mean, when we guys, I mean, I come from traditional marketing to digital marketing was a different ball game altogether, right?
True.
We adapted into that. We started doing digital marketing. Today there's AI. Today, it doesn't take much time for my sons to, just create a video, create, anything, any article they want, they are just able to do that. So they are going to be fast on technology. So as I think the seniors that we have become, we should also, if we want to work for few more years, let's also be at that pace with the next generation. Then you will not have any problem. So in my company, I do have Gen Zs working. So I think we are able to find proper common ground to ensure that work doesn't affect. And they are very adaptive. They are very open for learning generation. Yeah.
That was really a different perspective on
Yeah.
the upcoming generation, I can say.
Yeah.
Really interesting, and definitely I will also implement the same, I guess. Good to have your perspective on Gen Zs. Now, moving on to intellectual property, as you are into marketing and PR and you're mentoring startups also. So, we also work with a lot of startups, big companies where they don't need much because everything is established, brand name is there. But for MSMEs and startups, IP, they don't understand much and they don't understand the importance of it. So how do you think that intellectual property plays a role, or what I can say, it enables startups or it helps marketing in some way or the other? What is your perspective on having an intellectual property and not having an intellectual property for a company?
So I see there's a big collaboration between marketing and intellectual property. See, marketing, we want to go out in the market and talk about our credibility. Intellectual property is a proof of credibility.
Okay.
Okay. So if we have built a product and we patent it, then it's a proof, right? It becomes easier for us to market that. There is a credibility, there's a trust level on that product that gets built. Security is a very big thing. Your idea should remain your idea.
Correct.
A lot of people are reluctant to come on public relations, talk about their idea before they even do IP.
Correct.
So that means it plays a very important role. IP needs to be done so that their idea doesn't get sold, stolen, copyright na ho jaye. I have seen IP, especially trademark, work a lot with marketing because trademarks are also done on logo units. Like you have the Nike ka, the tick. That's a trademark. So no one else can take that. Right? Similarly, a lot of brands, a lot of Indian companies also do that. My Creative Bharat is a trademark. The elephant, the globe, the tagline, local to global is a tagline. So that the whole logo unit is a trademark. So, obviously I want to secure that no one else takes this concept.
Right.
So there is a big collaboration and I think they go hand in hand. So as important marketing is, that much important intellectual property is also for any businesses at any level, whether they are startups, they are SMEs, or they are large companies building more new products. Every product needs patenting, every product needs a trademark, every sub brand needs a trademark that will come up. So it is a very important aspect.
Does it reduce the efforts of marketing? As you
No, it doesn't reduce the effort of marketing. In fact, marketing becomes much easier then. The penetration of a product that is patented will be more easier, more better for audience to, relate to, trust and buy because it is patented. So there is a huge level of credibility that patent products come with, and marketing becomes easier for that. So it will be much easier for us to create more marketing campaigns when we know that we are selling something which will not fail because they are proven themselves and they are already a patent product, right? So I don't think there is a very strong partnership between marketing and intellectual property. They are not competitors. They are absolutely not competitors. Both are working for the growth of the company.
Right.
So,
If a company is having patents, and if they are able to have 100% monopoly, then they just need to reach out to their buyers. They don't need to spend much on marketing, because once the product is known, no one is going to compete and come in between. So that is how I articulate it. So whenever I'm taking seminars or lectures, and whenever I'm talking about IP, I generally share my thoughts like that. If you have an effective IP, your marketing budget can be reduced substantially, because you just need to knock the doors. 100% monopoly is there, and that will be there for 20 years. But if you're not able to do it, then your marketing expenditure has to grow on year and year. So what is your say on this?
no, I think it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So when you're a monopoly product, that means you're anyways not visible in the market. You're absolutely new. You need to market yourself. Even that, right?
Okay.
You need to come out somewhere in media to say you are a monopoly product for a particular industry. So there is a partnership of marketing and IP there also, right? Monopoly product mein. You have to come out and you have to say, otherwise you are going to physically be knocking so many doors. So when you do marketing, doors will open for you.
Easily, that's
easily, right? So it's easy for you to reach out. Second is there is always innovation happening. Even if there is a patent product. For example, the bulb was a patent product of Edison's, right?
Correct.
I mean, हमारी टेक्स्ट बुक में वो एडिसन ब्लैक कोट पहन के और ग्लोइंग बल्ब हाथ में पकड़ के खड़ा है. किसी भी बच्चे से पूछोगे वो बोलेगा कि इन्वेंशन वाज डन बाय एडिसन. आर वी यूजिंग दैट एडिसन्स लाइट टुडे? वी आर नॉट. Right? Correct. So there is evolution of that product that has happened, but we don't know who has invented LED.
Right.
Do we know who has invented? So there are businesses that have come even after that patent, innovation, invention that happened. They have evolved. So what has happened is you built something and उसका patent किया, आप यहाँ पे हो. किसी ने उसमें कोई fault देखा, कोई प्रॉब्लम देखा, वो प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करते करते उसने कुछ और बिल्ड कर दिया जो थोड़ा ऊपर आ गया, इम्प्रोवाइज हो गया. पेटेंट को इफेक्ट नहीं किया, बिकॉज उसने पेटेंट चोरी नहीं किया. उसने बस एक प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई किया और उस प्रॉब्लम को फिक्स करने में कुछ और बिल्ड किया. किसी और ने इसमें प्रॉब्लम देखा, उसको प्रॉब्लम को फिक्स करने में इस प्रोडक्ट को और एलिवेट किया, यहाँ आ गया, राइट? फिर ये यहाँ से यहाँ और आगे भी पता नहीं एलईडी के बाद हम लोग कहाँ चलेंगे. मतलब ये बल्ब बनाया तो एडिसन ने है, बट आज के जमाने में हम एडिसन वाला बल्ब नहीं यूज कर रहे हैं. टेक्नोलॉजी हैज इवॉल्व्ड. ये हर बिजनेस में ऐसा होगा. दिस विल हैपन इन एवरी बिजनेस. सो देयर इज नो competition between marketing and intellectual property. There is absolutely no competition. Marketing will always help to reach out to more audience and open doors more easily for any product. Now, if you're a monopoly product and you have been patented, you have kept quiet about it because you don't want anyone else to get to know the secret, right? You close door. जैसे ही patent होता है, that's when you can go all out in media. Because now you are in a secured zone. Now you can talk about your product all out in media, go to digital media, build videos about your product, be in leading publications, create a story and all that. तो वो आपका बेसिक पेटेंट होने के बाद आपके मार्केटिंग और इजी हो जाता है. So there is a big collaboration between both the functions. There is nothing like that. And innovation will never stop in our lives, in human life, innovation won't stop. I mean, the invention of wheels, from what shape to actually coming to circle, from stone wheels to actually coming to puncture proof, tubeless tires today. The evolution of tires gave us better roads, right? What kind of roads? The roads also evolved, from brick road, mud road, to that hay wale roads, to tar roads, to cement roads, gati shakti roads, speed. When roads became good, then motor vehicles also became more better. So everything is an evolution.
Interlinked
and there is an evolution of everything. Now every evolution में patenting होता रहता है.
Correct
है ना? कोई गाड़ी का डिजाइन पेटेंट हो जाता है, कोई गाड़ी का जो मोटर है वो पेटेंट हो जाएगा, कुछ ना कुछ, बट उससे आगे आगे बढ़ेगा। ये नहीं कि वो पेटेंट हो गया तो अब वहां पे इन्वेंशन बंद हो गया, इनोवेशन बंद हो गया, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। उसके आगे और इनोवेट होता है, फिर और इनोवेट होता है, और इनोवेट होता है। सो दिस इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी देयर, एंड मार्केटिंग एंड IP are going to go hand in hand. They are going to complement each other.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of press releases for my clients I do when they get their patent, and हम उसको news लेकर जाते हैं कि this particular product has been patented or has a copyright.
Okay.
So we take that and go. We use a lot of copyright for our marketing initiatives, especially videos that we create. We have the copyright declarations mentioned at the end of our videos. At the end of a lot of our collaterals, we do mention a lot of copyright declarations. So that means it is going hand in hand.
Great. So nice to have your perspective on intellectual property, and definitely I also agree that to reach out, you need marketing.
Yeah.
Because even if you have a patent, and you cannot be sitting silo that someone will come and they will see your patent and they will pay you money or buy some product. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's true. So good to have your perspective on IP, and definitely it's the most important pillar for any business, and it will remain. And similarly, marketing is also one of the most important pillar. That is more important than IP, I can say, because if you have IP or if you don't have IP, still marketing is required. So any last thoughts or advice from you for Gen Zs or entrepreneurs who are willing to get into marketing, or anything that you want to share from your side?
So India today has been in a very good space in the last 15 years, and moving forward also we are going to be in a great space, especially in the landscape that global innovation is looking at. There's a lot of eyes that are looking towards India for innovation. The next generation should freely, fearlessly innovate. Do not worry about anything. For funding, there are whole lot of, I think India has the maximum venture capitalists or angel investors or seed investors who are looking out for opportunities to invest in. So if you have ideas, please come out and start your ideas. You want to protect them. There are organizations like Sunit's organization that will help you secure your ideas and start innovating fearlessly. So build innovation, build companies, build organizations with a lot of pride, and take India to the next level. So my last message is good luck to all of you, and I'm sure India is going to shine for more decades to come.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for joining on this podcast. It was really wonderful to have you, and thank you for giving out your time from your busy schedule. And I hope everyone must have learned a lot of things from this podcast. What is PR, what is marketing, where it is required, how it can be used. And you can definitely reach out to Manjula ji. I will give her LinkedIn profile in the description. So if you have anything that she can answer, she will be available on LinkedIn. So thank you, and keep innovating, keep investing, and keep earning tremendously. All the best.
Thank you.